we have 10 minutes, but I'll quickly give you a bit of an introduction to Docling. I mean, we just got recently inside of the LFAI in data in March. And let me just start. So basically, think about Docling as like a library that just sucks in all kind of data. We just release something for audio files. But really what we started from is trying to understand and be able to actually get data out from PDF documents, where we can do Word, PowerPoint, etc., all of these weird formats. Now, if you take like some low-level PDF parsers, you basically get this nonsense out, and this is actually what basically a lot of LLMs started to train on. So that's not really cool. How do we know that? There was a very nice example in the literature a couple months ago, where basically we start to have all kind of papers now talking about vegetative electron microscopy. That's actually a term that doesn't make any sense, but actually was figured out that it comes from training on a paper where vegetative and electron microscopy were basically on two different columns, and the PDF parser kind of scraped that out. And since then, I think around 100 papers have been published in vegetative electron microscopy, or mentioning that. And several ones have like over 100 citations, so beautiful. Now, when you use Docling, this actually will not happen. So basically, when you parse that, we do a lot of work with AI models to actually have like make sure that columns, for example, are properly identified. And so effectively, I mean, really what we are doing, and by the way, like our symbol is this little duck there. I have a lot of swag, so people that want to have stickers on that, feel free to reach out. But essentially what we do is we have just a PDF where we basically convert all of these capabilities, and we can get tables out and captions out, and we deal with page headers and footers, etc., etc. Now you can be saying, well, okay, there's a lot of models already out there, so why bother, effectively? So we also made sure that within Docling you can run all different types of VLMs. We have Granite Vision, but you can run your favorite Quen or Pixtral or Phi or whatever. So on the left-hand side you see basically the source document. It's one of our papers, and I'm just running them out. It's quite beautiful that if you squint for Quen and Pixtral, you think it is actually correct, and then you start looking at it. Quen actually misses a whole paragraph. They all screw up the tables, and Phi just sees a table and kind of ignores everything. The prompt here was really extract all the text accurately, do not miss any text, etc., etc., etc. So we try to improve that. And so look at the actual run times. This is actually on my laptop, so we try to do everything that you can locally develop and run. And it's kind of painful, and so we also are developing now smaller models. So small Docling is one such a model that we just developed. It runs in 2 seconds per page and actually does everything correctly. So that's actually pretty cool. Quick thing, we are working on a new variation of Granite Docling that will hopefully come out soon. Again, very, very small, so it's around 256 megabytes, so extremely small, accurate, and it can read, basically, as opposed to all of the other VLMs, which can basically not read. So now to get a bit to business, because we're all like people that code. So essentially, Docling really at its core is a open source library. Just do pip install, and you're good to go. There's a CLI. You can, of course, use it. You can include it. We try to do a lot of different formats, so PDF, DocX, XLS, so Excel, HTML, images. We just did like audio files, so that you can do, if you have your favorite podcast that you really want to quickly do, or you figured out that you lost, or you don't want to listen to your CEO's podcast and you just want to quickly summarize it, you can just download it, and with Docling you can get the essence out of it, basically, without bothering too much and having to listen to everything. Now, what does it do? So here's a quick video. It's one of our papers. It's not the most interesting paper in the sense of layout. I mean, it's kind of boring layout, but it kind of gives you the idea. So really, I like terminals. I know we're also building, there are some things, there's some nice TypeScript libraries that we're building in case you want to build a nice UI around it, and I give that to students, basically. But essentially, this is really what it does. You can just quickly get your data out, you can get your figures out, you can convert it to HTML if you would want to, Markdown, etc., etc., etc. The whole point is that ultimately, internally, what actually Docling does is it brings it to an internal data structure we call Docling document. That's a Pydantic typed Python data structure. Yep. And it allows you to do all the serialization and chunking, et cetera, for RAG, etc., and these type of things. So, you know, this like projects like Opia, but we are working with so many different projects where we're integrating that. Having said that, I'm gonna just skip a few things. So, you know, we started actually mid of last year. We've been developing lots of different models and capabilities. We entered in, you know, end of March, something like that, in the Linux Foundation. And since then, we've been just working on integrating and building up the community. So right now, I think what is very nice, we were #1 on GitHub. We have around 32,000 stars, I believe, right now. The package is being downloaded around 33,000 times a day. So it's actually quite popular. And this is just growing as we go. We've been integrating already in many different frameworks, and we just continuously work on that. I'll just spend a few more minutes on what actually is happening behind the scenes, because it can actually be quite useful. So behind the scenes, essentially, we have currently 4 pipelines. This slide is slightly outdated. We have a simple pipeline for all the programmatic backends. So like think about Markdown and Excel and PowerPoint. All of these things are basically programmatic, so that's what we call a simple pipeline. Then we have a standard PDF pipeline, which can take images and PDFs and does a lot more models. These models are developed to run one after the other, so they're extremely robust, but they do accumulate errors. So that's one thing that we don't like so much. And since recently we started to add this VLM, so visual language model pipelines, which just take, for example, page images, and it's end-to-end AI, so you can actually not only get the text out, but there we put a lot of work in actually doing like formula understanding, chart understanding. So if you have like a pie chart, a bar chart, histograms, all of this type of stuff, you get not only that there is an image, but you get actually the quantitative data that is in that image. And lately we added also the ASR pipeline so that you can point it to podcasts and audio files and this type of stuff. For the VLM pipeline, we developed our smaller models. There's some stuff in behind, but I'm going to skip that because of the time. We can talk later after the meeting if you're interested in that. But it got quite a bit of traction. We were #1 on Hugging Face for a while, so beating like, you know, your DeepSeek friends and so on and so forth, which was kind of cool. Yeah, we get quite a few downloads. So this is actually a really small model that allows you to run completely local. And of course, if you have a good GPU, it will run even faster. What does it do? It basically does everything that the standard pipeline does and way more. So, you know, we have it typically spitting out doc tags, but it can do layout properly, code, and formulas. So if you have code snippets that are like with indentation, we take care of that. Charts and tables, captioning, full page conversion, etc., etc. We are now working also on like pages in the wild. So this is actually all kind of simulated pages. I mean, we have the original ground truth, but then we run it through basically a simulator to make it work or look like in the real world. And so we can then put stamps on and coffee stains and all of these type of nice augmentations. And the hope is that we can actually start deploying that on the phone. So you will have like a point and shoot. So if you need to start getting data out or you want to fill out a tax form, you should be able to point it to your documents, and it should actually fill all of this out. Last but not least, we also have started to work on Docling MCP so that we have actually tools. And that will then allow you not only to take documents and convert them, but it's actually also working to, as I said, like starting to editing and generating. So if you want to do a new research paper, you will have all the tools to do that. Or if you just want to fill out a stupid form that you don't really want to fill out, like your tax forms, then you can let the agent do it and you can hope that it does it correctly. I would still check it out, but the main things I would hope it does correct. Yeah, and with that, I think I'm at 9:30, so I'm open for questions. And of course, I'll be around. If you want to have some stickers, I have many stickers, so happy to give those.